Hello, everybody. And we decided to go ahead and jump on here an hour early. I'll address that again in a moment while when people are going to be surprised that we're here now. But for anyone who's listening to the podcast, we show up every Monday night. It's been 8:00 p.m., but we figure for summer hours, we're going to go ahead and give it a shot at 7:00 and see how that works out for us.
You can probably repeat that here in a little bit.
I will.
There ain't nobody fucking watching, right?
I will.
And he's got something dead.
And my cat is at the door, and he has killed something, and he's wanting to come in the house here. So anyway, I guess we should have waited for just a minute. But thank you so much for joining us. And if you have questions, drop them. If you're here with us live, drop your questions into the comments. And yeah, so my cat just killed something.
It appears to be a baby mouse.
Oh, it is baby mouse season. It's Easter, which means it's baby mouse season, and
or baby something.
Yeah.
Now unrecognizable.
Yeah, little guy. He
Did
just
kill
really.
The shit out of it, though.
I saw that. It was disgusting. At least it's not in my house. So anyway, thank you all for joining us, and I will repeat that in just a few minutes.
Are you going to want kisses from him now?
Not for a while. We're going to let him.
Are you sure?
Not right this minute, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure he'd be happy to lick your face right now.
You know what? I'm gonna let it go for just a minute, but I am gonna praise him for being such a good boy, for sure. Because he's doing his job.
Yeah, no, he's
he's
definitely.
Dogs are always so sweet, and they're like happy to see you, but cats, they keep you guessing because they're gonna murder something, and hopefully
I might
it's not
go throw that in the damn woods because otherwise he's gonna be going ape shit.
Yeah, you can in a minute.
I'll go do it right now, and you can entertain the
the masses. All right. Hey, you guys have any questions? Feel free to drop them into the comments, and we're going to jump in and answer said questions for sure. So Steve's leaving me high and dry here, but
I'm gonna get a paper towel and pick up the mush.
Okay.
And toss it somewhere.
It's pretty disgusting. I actually did see his little mouth was full of whatever dead things. So, let us know. Drop in the comments and tell us what kind of pets you have. Are they cats, dogs, fish? Baby bird. Okay. So it was a baby bird that we play with toys that look like birds around here. But yeah. I've seen full-size birds. He's a little murderer. All right. We're still waiting on Steve. Pippi, come on. Say hi. Come say hi to everybody. And for anybody who's up, I was going to describe him, but he's being a brat. All right. I actually do have a question for you, Steve. Okay. So you can
toss this in the trash.
Okay. Steve has now disposed of the baby bird carcass.
Dead baby bird.
Yeah, well, it happens. It's kill season,
Yes.
It's hunting season for cats. All right, we actually had a question that was posed. I believe it was in the messages. And so Amazing Assistant Tori went ahead and put it into the comments here for us. And so it's really not from us, it's from Kyle. And he says, what's the average, I'm assuming it means rear wheel horsepower with the 602s. And this was on our video of the engine dyno versus the chassis dyno. Mm-hmm. And so what would you like to say on that?
Obviously it depends on the running gear on a chassis dyno. On average, like a dirt late model 602, you're looking, depending on the fuel. There's so many different variables, but let's just say you got the best of the best of the best. Then you're looking, E85 fuel late model, you're looking 350 to 360 horsepower roughly, and then over 400 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, actually, when Tori posed this question to me today, I said, "You do realize this is a completely unanswerable question, right?" And she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, because it depends. Is it a dirt late model? Is it a modified? What kind of fuel are they running? Right. What kind of exhaust system do they have?" She goes, "Oh, it's one of those." Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? Go ahead and put it in the show. We'll talk about it. Right. Which is, I think what brings up a really great point on that is the fact that there are so many variables, and that what we're looking at when anybody who's talking about horsepower numbers is you just cannot compare. There's no apples to apples comparison in many situations.
Right.
And even chassis dyno to chassis dyno. I mean, somebody could come and
dyno jets for the most part, just depending on elevation and humidity while you're dynoing and stuff, are very close. Engine dynos vary quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a really good thing to know. Yeah. And any other questions you guys have, drop them into the comments. And for anyone who's joined us in the last couple minutes here, I know our show is normally at 8 o'clock, but I don't know. We were here, so we decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and turn on the camera and let's start early and see how this 7 o'clock Eastern time zone thing works for the show. And and I guess it's your vote too. You know what? I think I might start doing that. Do you ever watch YouTube on your phone, Steve?
No, never.
Oh, okay. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I mean a lot, like a lot.
Right.
And I normally watch it on TV, but I've noticed that in the phone version that there are different channels that have started putting polls up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something I might start doing for the show. Kind of ask some questions. Yeah. And and hey, you guys go ahead and say hi. I see Terry is here. He says, enjoy your weekly show from Princeton, West Virginia.
Nice.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for being here, for sure. Hey, I've got some new videos that came out this last week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so one of them on Friday, I kind of slid it in under the radar because it was all of the tire treatments,
tire prep stuff.
all the tire treatments from Buck at Daytona 1,
Mm-hmm.
but was really cool. A Buck Parker from Daytona 1 came up last week. He was here on Wednesday, and he and I sat down, and I think we shot like 7 videos. It was quite a few, and we did, I know it's controversial, but it is what it is. So
it's legal in a lot of places.
It is
in other places.
Well, and we even
nothing controversial about it to me.
Well, and we even address that. We talk about the fact that we're not here to try to encourage people to cheat or teach people how to cheat. This is just one of the products.
Yeah, I believe there was a
product lines we sell.
late model series he was talking about in the Midwest right now. That's allowing takeoff tires to be prepped.
Well, and not only that, their only tires are takeoff tires, and then they're allowed to treat those tires. And it's breathed life. They started with like 6 cars, and now I think they're up to like 52. Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, especially in this environment, to gain cars is really remarkable for sure. So that's what we talked about. Now I had another one that came out today, and that was on the crash pad.
You know what? When everybody else can't race because they can't get new tires, they might still be racing. So
well, that's why we threw it out there as an alternative.
Yep.
It's I know it's controversial, and I know people have some strong feelings about it. I just want to see us race. That's at the end of the day,
right.
I want to see us race.
Well,
but
the ones that usually have strong feelings about it are usually like members of the Purple Mafia and their supporters. So.
Well, I mean, there was a racer who brought a really good point to my attention and why they would be against tire treatments, because in the go-kart world, we all know that that's gone full on next level.
Right.
And this person used to race go-karts, and they said at one point I had 60 sets of tires in my trailer, but I arrive at this track and it is a condition that I didn't have tires for, which is crazy to think about the variations. And I don't want tire treatment. I don't think you find that
quite so much in the dirt late model world or the modified world.
It's hard to say. I mean, if there's a market,
is a totally
but if there's a market for it, who knows what can happen?
Right.
Did anybody think that we'd have the shock packages?
And by tire prep, we're not talking about shit that degrades the tire. We're talking about stuff that actually conditions it.
Yeah, it's totally biodegradable. It's safe, and it's just really brings them back to life. It breathes new life into them. I like to compare them to like a leather conditioner. If you've got an old car and the leather's almost kind of cracked, and you put a leather conditioner on it, just makes it supple and brings it back to life. That's what I would compare it to. And you've seen that as well, for sure. But the other video I did you see the crash pad?
I didn't see it, but I think you gave Alex a sample of it or something.
Well, yes. Well, he's got one for his car.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because the whole point of it, so the crash pad is this pad, like this like a seat insert basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you can cut it to fit your seat.
Yep.
So for one thing, it's meant to be cut down and customized for your size of seat. But I always kind of thought it was, I thought it was cool. It does. And it's ever so wide. And then you can just literally use a scissors and cut it down. It all kind of Velcros together. But I thought it was going to be just like memory foam or like an insole in your shoe. Because what they say about it is it's absorbing impact.
Right.
I know what you and I have talked about before with when you were racing, that you never had any kind of seat cushion or anything in your car because you drive with your butt.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. So what was interesting to me is when I sat in it for the first time.
Not the greatest thing on the spine. Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. It was really designed by sprint car drivers who found like an aerospace grade material. And I thought, you kind of go, yeah, whatever, But what's incredibly cool is that it's not like you're all cushy, like all of a sudden you're in a armchair or something.
Right.
But it does absorb that impact, and yet you still have feeling. So this would just keep it so that just even all those little bumps that you would hit, all of the damage that you've done to your spine with just hitting it like that all the time, this way you've got something to absorb that, almost like and I don't know how it compares, but I know I've done interviews about seats, and they've got that progressive foam, so it starts out, and as your head hits it, at some point it's harder, but
right.
So really incredible for the safety and preserving our bodies, because racing can be a little rough on things there. All right. So I see we've got some comments here. I see Roy is here, our friend from Oregon. He says our local pro stocks in Oregon run takeoffs, $25 a tire and 5 to 8 races, sometimes a full season on a tire.
Yeah,
absolutely.
A little bit different track conditions out that way, but yeah, that would make sense.
Well, yeah, and $25 is way better. Okay, and Pippi has decided to join us. So anybody who's watching, this is Pippi is a black cat. He is all black and with his green eyes, and he's proud of himself because he killed a baby bird.
He's killed a baby bird. Yeah.
He's a killer. He's a murderer. So hope that doesn't get us banned from social media.
He wants back outside, so I'm probably gonna let him back now.
Oh, okay. All right.
You want back out?
Yeah.
Come on, kid.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully he doesn't. Now he knows where the nest is, though. Oh, he's looking for his kill there, but he'll find it. All right, we got another question here. So Billy is here, and he says, "What timing should I have my 602 running 85 with a Willys carb?"
Generally between 34 to 38. 36 is always safe unless you get on a dyno, and then you find that you can run more. But I would say probably 36 would be safe enough on that. And
the 36 is what you run with E85, but not necessarally with other
race gas.
fuels.
And we never go over 34.
Right. Great. Just in case this is the first time someone's listening, or don't want to get them blowing up their motors or anything. No. So. All right. So Bobby Amanda here says, hey guys, most of us have seen the dyno numbers for the 602 with the 650 CFM carb in my area. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Hey guys, most of us have seen the dyno numbers for the 602 with the 650 CFM carb. In my area, we have to have the 4412 500 CFM gas 2-barrel carb. Have y'all seen any kind of numbers on these?
I have not. It's not anything that's even in our realm of what we do. I've heard of several series. I've had that question. People call me and ask me several times, but honestly, no, I've got no numbers on that at all. I'm assuming it's going to do like a 2-barrel's designed to do, and just kick the living shit out of the engine and not let enough air to produce any power. So, but I don't know how much loss that would be.
Yeah, and we just don't have anybody running 2-barrel, anybody who's mandated to run 2-barrel carbs in this area.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should probably pick one up and just
even the entire Southeast
that
I know of, or Northeast even.
Yeah. Maybe
it's more of a Midwest thing or an asphalt thing is what I've run into.
Midwest, or like that Oklahoma, Texas, I know that's
right.
Being from like Minnesota and Iowa, we would have thought that was the South, but it's not. It's a different kind of South than the Southeast. I don't know what
Southwest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Mid-South, I guess. Yeah. So we haven't seen that. Sorry, we can't answer that question. I see Cameron's here. He says, hello, happy people. For a question for Mr. Steve. Do they make a measuring device for a 1.5 rocker arm?
I'm sure they do. I mean, I've seen idiots like advertise like on the 602 rockers, you know, they've got them ratioed out and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. I mean, the difference between 1.48 and 1.5 and 1.52 is just negligible, in my opinion. Makes zero difference in power. I'm sure they do. I mean, we've got a tester just to test if, in fact, it is a 1.5, like in a tech situation. But I'm sure somebody does. It's just nothing I've ever even paid any attention to because I mean, I've seen results before in the past that it just makes no difference within, you know, a certain range.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. And then, of course, he would like to know where to buy that, but we don't even know what that is or who they is. I mean, we know they make it, but we don't know who they is.
I don't know who they are.
So it's cool. And Billy's going to be firing his car up soon. And Chuck is here. He says, hey, Kate and Steve, I'd like to say Joe Biden can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey. You can definitely kiss mine.
Hey, you know.
Of course, I don't think you can find anybody's ass unless it's like a 8-year-old or something. But never mind.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, you know, given a choice, it's either that or the hole in the wall, you know.
I mean, hell, the dude doesn't even know there's somebody standing next to him to shake hands with.
You know,
I mean,
you know, it's funny we talk.
That's the funniest shit I've seen in a while. There's like literally no one in front of you, and you're looking directly where there's no one in front of you, and you put your hand up to shake hands.
Well, you know, it really
a national embarrassment.
Well, it reminds me of the fact that we're talking about the economy so much, right? And there's always the idea of the invisible hand.
Yeah.
Well, and it's hilarious because that was like the invisible handshake. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Just unreal to me.
And I see Cameron is here, and Dylan's got a question. He says, Rotella versus Schaefer.
Schaefer's 100%. Mm-hmm. Schaefer's racing oil is an actual racing oil, whereas Rotella is something that is sold at Walmart and does not have the same stuff that Schaefer's has in it anymore, or it cannot be DOT certified. Or what's that? What's that rating?
You're right. DOT. Yeah, it is. DOT.
Anything DOT certified is not a racing oil. It has nowhere near the amount of zinc or anything else that an actual racing oil has in it.
Yeah, and that is something I learned along the way. That
regardless of whether it's rated for diesel or not, by the way.
Oh, right. Well, and any of these oils, yeah, if they're DOT, they've got to go under certain mandates of their additive packages.
Correct.
And in racing oil, we have a whole different deal. So they're not DOT. And then Cameron says 5W50 Schaefers or 20W50 Schaefers.
I don't know why you'd run either one, to be honest with you.
No, we use 1030.
We use the 1030 Schaefers, and crate engines we're talking. I mean, you could have a different application, but crate engine stuff we're using 1030 on the Schaefers, 1040 on the Klotz, and 540 or 1540 on the Daytona 1.
Yep.
Which is stuff we're using. Mm-hmm. But rarely have I seen, with those two exceptions, anything make more power than just a 1030.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you've tested a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know we've got some of that data on the website, but not with the latest, greatest.
The newest, stuff that we've got.
Yeah. So
we should do another round of that, but
it's been tough with the busyness and
the busyness and everything else going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Just trying to get stuff. I had a call today with some company that was trying to, send me money or like lend me money, mm-hmm. right? Like, hey, do you need funds for your business? We do, small business loans, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I need a lot more than money. I need fuel pumps. I need, I mean, it's like
all the shit we can't get right now. That's what we need.
I don't know. Can you turn that money into fuel pumps or spark plugs
right.
or,
spark plug wires?
Yeah. If you can do that, like that's what I actually need. That's what I need to spend the money
mm-hmm.
on. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay. So Chuck says, hey, I sure would like to have a couple of Crate Insider stickers that go on my car. Hint, hint. I think I have some stickers in my office. I know I don't typically have. I mean, I should do better with like Hey, like branding.
Well, you're not doing your top 5 Tuesday anymore, right?
I'm not.
Okay, well, because you're not doing that, you used to give away a bunch of free shit. So
Yeah.
maybe when you start that again, you can give away a bunch of stickers.
Yeah. Well, I might just need to find a way to give stuff away. It's always so touchy with the whole Facebook thing, like just to run contests and stuff. So
yeah, that's true.
That's why you don't see posts about it. It's why I just go ahead and do it like on my shows. Maybe it's something we even do on this show. That could be a possibility as well.
True.
You know, there's no reason why we couldn't
think
do
about
that
going forward.
Yeah, well, because I got a pile of swag, and I don't want to prematurely promote anything, but I even have a new something that will be a fantastic promo giveaway item. It's a T-shirt, but I'm just not going to say what it is yet. Anyway, it's exciting.
Hell, just brainstorm. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, we'll announce something huge here before long.
Will we? Okay.
Yeah, I've got an idea.
All right. Hey, good deal. And if you guys have any ideas, feel free to drop them in the comments. You know, we love to see those. We see all of them. And let's see. So Craig says American racers out of nylon and at a dead halt at producing tires right now. You know, I think with American Racer, from what I understand, is that they really did have their whole production together. Like they knew what they sold for the last couple of years. They've done production. What they couldn't handle was the onslaught of new demand that was as a result. Yeah, but do you know more about it?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Ray Cook. I do 604 engines, and Ray had told me at one point that like they had like container loads of shit coming from the east or the west coast to the east coast, and apparently whatever company's hauling it just drops the containers and hauls something else because they were getting paid more money for it. And this was like last year, and that totally screwed them up last year for a little bit. I mean, not to the point of what, you know, super tire shortage deal, but yeah, it's just shit like that's going on.
Oh yeah.
So you get somebody willing to pay more money to have something hauled, them trucking companies are going to drop what they're doing and go haul it. And just so happened that their loads were a couple of them, you know, that kind of thing.
I mean, what do you do? You know, if you're these trucking companies, it's just tough. I mean, it's the whole money talks deal.
Well, everything's fixing to go stupid, out of sight, expensive.
Yeah.
One of my manufacturers that we buy stuff from was telling me the other day that the billet aluminum they use for their product, it wasn't telling me, it was telling my brother actually, was they were paying $4 a pound for it, like, I don't know, a few months ago. Yeah. And now it's $14 a pound.
Oh, I've seen the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chart's insane. I didn't know the exact numbers, but I've seen the chart.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's like a 45-degree angle.
It's just
of a line,
unreal.
Just straight up.
All these prices are fixing to go through the freaking roof, and I don't know. It's gonna hurt racers really bad. Everything, no matter what you buy.
Agreed. Well, and then we have the shortages on top of it.
Yeah.
So sure. I'm kind of moving in a direction. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I stock at CrateInsider.com, you know, little shameless plug there. But no, I mean, everybody knows anybody who's here live knows because you're on the Crate Insider channels. But, you know, there's a lot of things that I have traditionally drop shipped just because, you know, I didn't want to pay the shipping twice. You know, I don't want to pay to have it shipped to me. And then, you know, if it's bigger things or they get more customized, but I am so tired of doing refunds on stuff I can't get in a reasonable time or that's out. So I've with some products, I've just gone to say 0. I have 0 in stock. I order as much of it as I can and we'll see what comes in and I'll sell it when I can have it.
Honestly, that's all you can do.
I really don't know of another option. I mean, there's going to be a few things that are still going to be that I will continue to drop ship.
I've got customers actually calling manufacturers of mine just to see if I ordered the product.
Oh yeah, I talked to that manufacturer.
That tends to piss me off a little bit.
Yeah,
because I guess what they neglect to realize is the manufacturer actually calls me and tells me what happens.
Yeah,
so, a little bit unimpressed with that, but.
Well, I don't think a lot of racers understand how tight these relationships are.
Well, and I don't think that they understand that, you know what? If I say you can't get the shit right now, you can't get the fucking shit right now.
So. I would agree. Oh, all right. So we got another question here. Dylan says, what are your thoughts on the North Wilkesboro dirt races? This is actually the very first time I've heard about the North
I
Wilkesboro
know
dirt
nothing
races.
about it. Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're taking North Wilkesboro and throwing dirt on it like at Bristol would be my guess. I don't know. I mean, feel free to inform me a little bit more. I haven't heard anything about it. Which would be an interesting prospect.
Well, if they put dirt on all asphalt tracks, everybody would be back to having fun racing again.
Yeah.
It'd actually be entertaining.
I mean, I used to live in Jefferson County, which was
the only thing entertaining on asphalt is fucking F1, and that's it.
F1 is freaking incredible.
It is.
Well, to watch it on TV, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, how would you get enjoyment out of it so much being there? Just, I mean, all you can see is like this much of it. And I
think it's just the whole atmosphere at one of those races.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I mean, the whole vibe would be really exciting. And hearing the sound of the cars, that would be pretty cool.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. And just a couple of things here. So Craig says, definitely a tough deal for everybody. I'm sure it really is. And John has a question. He says, Steve, what's your opinion on AccuSumps? Why would these be considered illegal? What's an AccuSump? I don't know what that is.
AccuSump's basically air over oil. So it's essentially what it's trying to do is make sure that you never have a like a loss of oil pressure situation.
Oh, almost like pressurizing your system?
Essentially, it's air over oil.
Okay.
Never been a fan of AccuSumps. I've seen too many engines get destroyed because of them. The damn seal thing in the AccuSump fails and you're pumping air straight in the engine, that kind of thing. So I've got no opinion on them other than I've never run one, do not recommend them, and never would run one. And as far as why they're illegal, probably because they blow up a lot of engines if they're not used properly.
Gotcha.
Or maintained properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next up, Cameron says, yeah, pretty sad people go behind your back on the parts. Yeah, it happens. Chad's here. He says 650 HP zinc versus 650 HP aluminum. Any advantage to buying aluminum carburetors? Dirt Sanction is allowing aluminum now.
If it's an HP style center section, then they're both the same.
Okay.
So yeah, there'd virtually be no difference that I'm aware of.
Well, I know,
but I'm also not a carburetor guy and haven't tried to flow any of that stuff or anything, because the stuff we're using is all the billet center section.
Yeah, yes. Well, it does remind me though, a few years ago, I think this was like in the before times, where you have a lot of sanctioning bodies in the country that were requiring like the 4412, the 4412, 2-barrel carburetor, right. Holly, and that it had to be like the cast or the zinc. Problem is that back then those weren't available. And so then it was all of a sudden, great, what do we do? Like these literally are not even available. They're not even making them. Yeah. I mean, so what do we do? Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's,
if it's still that HP center section, then, I mean, the advantage is the weight, I guess, with the aluminum. But other than that, I can't see anything being that much different between the two.
Interesting.
They're both still cast.
Yeah. And we just don't have any data on that.
Yeah.
And then back to the Wilkesboro thing, Dylan says the XR series is putting dirt on it in October.
Oh, okay.
Okay, running Super 604, 602 in stocks, etc. And then they're back on asphalt with a rebate next year. Yeah, and so that's that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a concept that works.
Yeah,
I guess it just depends on when it is in October, and it needs to be before the short track world championships and the world finals.
Like I said, anytime you put dirt on asphalt, I'm for it.
Well, I mean, I think the whole North Wilkesboro scene is a great opportunity. I mean, you really have. I think you probably still have a fan base out there.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got it wide open. You're not like in a downtown area or anything. And to breathe life in. I don't think I was at North Wilkesboro when it was still an asphalt track. I think it had just been retired, but I think it didn't.
Still an NASCAR track.
Yeah. Did they retire that one the same year as the Rock, or was that a different? Was it beforehand?
I can't remember. I haven't watched NASCAR in so long. I can't tell you when what was done or when.
Understandable. I mean, this was back in like 95 when I moved to North Carolina, and Dad was working for a NASCAR team. So there were some of these tracks that I went to, And like I was at one of the very last races at the Rock, and it rained out actually. So that's that's kind of why I would know that. So not a big deal. We both have text messages going off like crazy. I don't know why, but it happens. All right, so Wesley's here. Wesley, hey, Spider Monkey, I miss you. I haven't seen you in forever. So thank you so much for joining our show here. All right, so here we have another question. David is here. He says, the owner of the Rev in Louisiana shut Dylan Scott down and pulled the dirt off the track. Dylan had a better turnout every week than when it was asphalt. Wow. Huh. Interesting. There's one thing we never have a shortage of in racing is personality conflicts. I know nothing about that whole situation, but wow, that's a trip. Oh, I mean, if you're going to be more successful with it, it's crazy. And Wesley, he says they unveiled at Bristol over the weekend. They are reopening North Wilkesboro in August, racing a full month for pavement events, then taking off the pavement and running on the original dirt there. Okay, the month of October before repaving the facility and doing major repairs and upgrades for 2023 for a possible NASCAR Truck Series event.
Interesting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's a trip.
That's pretty cool.
Well, good for the owners at North Wilkesboro. I think that's great. Mm-hmm. It was really good. All right, Dave is here. He says, I got a new KSE tandem fuel power steering pump. I was going to say congratulations. So. I know there's more to this question, but I'm just going to say congratulations. They're not easy to get right now. Mm. Came with a 44 tooth pulley to 20 Jones 600 to 20 HDK belt. Belt does not give enough clearance to put fuel lines on pump. Ordered a 624 to 20. Is that going to cause any issues flow wise? Okay.
I would contact KRC. Or KSE.
No, this is KSE. I don't know why it has a Jones belt.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know either.
Very confusing to me. So if it's a tandem, it's a fuel power steering pump. It's going to be a tandem pump,
right?
And I don't know why we would have. I've never looked at that belt in there, and
I've used a ton of those, and I've never
seen him say Jones on them.
I haven't either.
So that's pretty crazy. It says belt does not give enough clearance to put fuel lines on the pump. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that. I don't keep spare belts for those. So I've never had an issue. I mean, I sell them like all the time to customers, and never had an issue out of one. I don't know what's going on there, unless it was like some return and somebody threw a random belt back in the box when they returned it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you got it from me. I mean, hopefully we didn't make that mistake.
Well, I mean, it would have come. You don't open them, so it would have come packaged that way from KSE. But
no, but if I opened it up to do a video on it or something, and then. I mean, who knows? I mean, anything can happen, but, because I'll open in boxes to put, do a video or something. But if I did this, I mean, I'll make it right. I don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah. But just, we can take a look at that for sure. That makes sense. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at, I think I got one on the shelf still, if you haven't stolen it from me. So then I can not steal, but you're like, hey, I know you have this. I need one of those. I can take a look. Feel free to, Dave, go ahead and contact me. Feel free to contact me tomorrow, and I'll see what I can do to get that ironed out for you. At least get the right information of what that belt's supposed to be. And again, I mean, if it is something that we did, which I'm not going to say it isn't possible, right? I can take one out and look it out in our video, and then who knows if it doesn't get put back right. So Wesley's got some more information from me. He says the North Wilkesboro shut down in 96 and Rockingham in 2004. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize Rockingham lasted that long. Interesting. Okay. So I was around the year that North Wilkesboro shut down. All right. Steve Peden is here, our friend from the North. And he says E85, the difference between leaded, unleaded mix and mixed with race gas.
Negligible as far as leaded and unleaded go. Like if you're talking like mixing your own with like ethanol, straight ethanol. I mean, back in the day when we had to do that, I think we were using CHP or something when we were mixing it, but I don't quite understand the question, but I mean, between those two, leaded and unleaded, is negligible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, hey, what is the quality of the E85? is there a big difference in power?
If we're talking racing E85 now, as far as pump, what you get out of the pump, I mean, hell, you got to check that shit all the time because it could be dead nuts E85, it could be E93, it could be E70, so.
Well, and then beyond that, also whether it's a leaded or unleaded gas. I don't know if they even make leaded gas. I mean, that maybe that was silly that I just said that.
It's got to be a race gas. Is what I'm assuming he's saying, because like for instance, VP has X85, X85L. So you got X85 unleaded, X85L leaded.
Right. Okay.
But the difference between the two is negligible.
Okay. So as long as you're using a racing E85,
yeah,
they're all pretty comparable.
Correct.
But when we go like just mainstream and you want to try to either mix your own or buy E85 at the pump, we're probably running into trouble there.
Yeah.
Good to know. And Wesley says, the spider monkey loves and misses you all both too. And I need to plan and trip to come and visit very soon when both our crazy busy schedules allow. Absolutely. There's all kinds of cool stuff for you to see. Well, I mean, it's Rutherford 10, but it is what it is. So
there's really not, but
well, no, but there's new things, like the new store. He hasn't seen the new store yet. So.
It might be a new Waffle House for him to check out.
No, I actually had breakfast there. I actually went to Waffle House on Easter.
There we go.
Because I wanted breakfast and I didn't have all of the things that I would want to make for breakfast.
Oh, we are getting a, what do you call that? The what's that place that sells the milkshakes and stuff? Not a shake shop. I know he loves those, but it's shit.
I mean, we just got
a drive-through damn place.
Oh, a cookout.
Cookout.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they do a good job. They do a really good job. They're still not a Dairy Queen. We still don't have a Dairy Queen. Like if there's a Dairy Queen here, my life will become complete. I love Dairy Queen. I really do.
There you go.
All right. Let's see. Dave said the belt didn't come with the pump. Was told that's what I needed for that pump. Oh, okay. Yeah, Dave, still call me tomorrow. So this is about the KSC pump. Go ahead and call me tomorrow, and I'll get you that information. Yeah. Or you can shoot me an email. My email address is Kate@CrateInsider.com, and I'll get that part number. I don't have it here, but I'll see about getting you that part number. All right, Shep Lucas is here. Shep's here, and he says, Shep is was my very first customer at Crate Insider. He's the very first one. So
I've heard the story 1,000 times.
Well, there are other people listening that maybe not have heard the story. So he says, Steve, do you recommend running O-rings on the shaft of an MSD distributor in a 604?
Yeah. I always recommend running the top one. The second one, I have run into some cases where I've primed engines, and due to deficiencies in General Motors machine work, it's been necessary to run the second one as well. Generally, we just run the top one.
Good. It was just fun showing the Steve cam. I mean, when I get a third camera, then I'll do a Kate cam too. What's that? See, so I got the right shot, Steve cam, both of us, Steve cam. Okay. Look. All right. My friend Dell is here. Dell, it's great to see you. He says, hey, just wanted to say hello. Well, welcome and thanks for joining us. And Dave said that it wasn't from us, so I didn't screw up the belt thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, just still contact her.
Yeah, but still,
right number.
And okay, gotcha. So back to the E85 question. Steve says the fuel supplier has 85, 100, 85/110, etc. So I guess with what do you want to have it mixed with? I'm
still not getting it.
Okay.
I mean, they either got E85 or they got E100.
Okay. Well, if nothing else, I mean, you guys know each other. You can just call Steve, but.
Wait a minute. I'm slowly catching on here. So you're saying they got E85 mixed with 110, or they've got E85 mixed with whatever race gas 100?
Well, I have a feeling it is E85, but it's going to be.
That's what I'm saying. The gas that's mixed with is either 100 octane
correct.
Or 110.
It's like, what are they cutting it with?
Yeah. So if they're cutting it with the 100, that's what I'd use.
Okay. Yep. And Wesley says all the things.
A little slow on the uptake today.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You've only had like a year and a half in. So Wesley.
Well, it has nothing to do with that.
I'm just teasing you. Yeah, and Wesley, it's pretty funny. With our project management here, we actually have a board called All the Things 2022. So that's what we like. It's just too hard to quantify, so it's just all the things, and that's what we say we do around here. All the things. Oh, my friend Cindy is here. She used to live in Idaho. We knew each other then, and we'd go to happy hour. And she is in New York. The last I knew. So hey, it's hey, thank you for joining. We're talking about race car things. So back in the day when I lived in Idaho, I was, a designer and selling Pampered Chef and just, kind of a whole different life back then.
Doing Kate things.
Yeah. Well, always doing Kate things, but what those things are just depend.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So any other questions, you guys just drop them into the comments there. What other exciting news do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me about exciting news? All I do is literally work. So I work, I go eat, I drink beer, I go home, watch Netflix, and go to bed. Did
you not watch The Shining?
Yes, I watched The Shining.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah, it does. I can live with that.
Okay. It's all good. Oh, and Steve says, yeah, I didn't know how to explain it, but you got it.
All right.
Yeah, we all got there. We all
got to understand Peden language. I did see where he finished like second or something this weekend, I think.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And of course, we saw when we first met him was last year. So the 2021 for the Race Logic Chassis School. Mm-hmm. So that was exciting. And so anyone else who wants to get an edge on their program.
Since then, I suckered him into me freshening the motor for him. So.
Oh, that's what we call it. Okay. No, if you guys really want to get an edge and get the best and latest information about your entire program, and we answer a lot of little questions here that are very crate specific, but we're really, when it comes to chassis and suspension, and we're not your people. So, but I
can answer.
You can answer some.
I've done this all my life, so there's some things I can answer and or direct you to the right person to talk to.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying that we're not, but
I can't even answer all the engine questions and carburetor questions. So, there's just some stuff that's out of our range of what we normally operate in.
Yeah, but with Race Logic, that's just what I wanted to get to is the Race Logic chassis schools. As what's great is you can just kind of settle in and really get piece by piece on the setup of your race car, understanding why and how these things work, so you can actually get to the point where you can ask the right questions.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that's the hardest place to get to with the challenges of this, how complex the everything is, and how do you take care of all these different things? You have all these different systems in a race car. So it's really cool. And you can find that at racelogic.vip. And we still have, people coming in all the time to purchase that. And the feedback has been fantastic. So check that out. And that's not us. That's Brian Littleton is who runs Race Logic. I do go and film them, and you're one of the speakers there. So we're involved in it, but it's really Brian's brainchild there. And okay, so we're talking about the aluminum carburetors, and Wesley says, Steve and Kate, where do you feel the motorsports industry is currently at with the shortage of race parts and infecting things on a national, regional, touring, and weekly level? And will we ever find any light at the end of the tunnel, or could it become the demise of our sport or cause massive changes? Great question, Wesley. I think we're going to have some slightly different answers on this.
You can go first if you want.
No, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that we're going to see nothing change until we have a different administration, because with the absolute assault on the oil industry and everything, then we're still going to continue having supply chain crisis. We're going to still continue having just fuel prices out of sight, which means regional racers who usually travel, anywhere from 1 to 4 hours to go race on a weekly basis. That's going to hit them in the pocket. They're not going to be able to do that. In order to do that, purses and prices are going to have to go up at racetracks in order to draw more people in. It's just a giant snowball effect that's never ending until we actually get the economy back in check, get inflation down, and get it to where people actually, getting off their freaking lazy asses and getting jobs again.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to.
Of course, that's probably the Neanderthal basic way of looking at shit, but that's just how I feel, because that's what I see on a daily basis.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to have a slightly nuanced. It's definitely in line with what you say. I'm not an argument against it. However, I think many of our customers, many of our racers out there are small business owners, and each of our businesses has been affected by the inflation and by the supply chain shortage. So even more than oil, I would say that really
I'm using
supply
that
chain.
I'm using that as an example. The oil industry has been decimated by Biden. So in a year and a half, he's managed to do what no one could do since the 70s, which is destroy the oil industry. And here's where we're at. And that has an effect on everything from making plastic products to you name it, anything. Your fucking house has oil in it, for Christ's sake. Your refrigerator does, your air conditioning unit does. All this stuff has oil in it. And all he's done is destroy the oil industry, or attempt to. And then today he's like shutting down another pipeline or won't let them produce their full amount.
Yeah.
He's a jackass.
Well, I'm not gonna disagree with you there. I think there's a lot more to that than that.
There may be, I don't know.
But
I'm just
I don't want to argue about it, but just for the broader scale, I think the challenge, though, in how this affects motorsports is as a business. I mean, I run a solid business, but if I can't get it, I can't sell it. And if I can't sell it, I can't produce revenue and I can't produce profits. So our percentage will probably be
you can't get it because people can't produce it.
Well, and they can't produce it for a number of reasons.
There's a number of reasons.
We were talking about fuel pumps last week, and it was funny actually. Curtis mentioned to me today. He goes, I'd asked you about fuel pumps last week, like before the show, and you'd said, we're supposed to get them at the end of March. He's like, it didn't even dawn on me that was a joke until he watched the podcast. Right. He's like, oh, I see what you did there, because it's April, but now it's going to be end of May.
Here's what I look at.
Because it's their suppliers.
We did not have this problem from 2016 to 2019. Solid, no problem. As a matter of fact, shit was moving. Things are flowing, people throwing money around like crazy, buying all sorts of crazy shit because they can afford to. COVID hits, we get locked down. Some states got just decimated by the lockdowns. So there were some companies that manufacture goods that you sell and I sell and stuff like that. They were decimated by the lockdown bullshit. And once that ended, they went right back into production. And they were slinging stuff like crazy again. Didn't have a supply chain shortage at that time. All of a sudden, bam, dickhead gets elected. And next thing we know, we're going to stop this and we're going to stop that. And we can't, all this shit happens. And now look where we're at. A year and a half. Took a year and a half to do this. Imagine what's going to happen in 2.5 more or 3.5 more years. Or 3 more years.
Oh, yeah. One question I would have for you is, when did we start having bottlenecks at the ports?
When? We started having bottlenecks at the ports after dipshit came in office.
I don't think it was before then.
I don't think so.
I think it was.
I don't think
but
so.
It wasn't bad enough, because remember, Trump even threatened to send in the National Guard.
Do what?
I remember Trump threatening to send in the National Guard to clear up the ports. I mean, I swear that's the case.
Well, I mean, if we're talking California ports, there's a number of reasons why those are fucked.
Well, honestly, so what do I think is the number one thing that's screwing us right now? It's the ports in California, because so much money was pumped into our system and people were spending it on things that they normally wouldn't have been able to afford.
At any rate, back to the original question.
Challenge. Well, I mean, but I am getting to that. There's a lot of challenges between inflation and supply chain. The real thing that we're going to need to be very cognizant of is, as we lose racers, because we will lose racers this year, I have zero doubts. Either they will not be able to afford to travel because their businesses are down, or they're not going to allocate that money. Like, I'm just, hey, it's stupid for me to go spend $600 so I can potentially win $50 at a race.
Right.
There are going to be racers who this year will opt out of racing and they will find a different hobby.
And there's going to be tracks that close too because of it.
And there'll be races that we can't have if we don't have tires. I'm not, trying to go full, zombie apocalypse here, but what the challenge is I think this is right up with the 2 weeks to stop the spread. I think if we have one rain out on a weekend, even on 2 weekends in a row, we're going to be okay. And on weekend 3, we're going to be able to recover. But if there are guys that don't race for an entire season, it's going to be that much harder to bring them back. And I think we will have a loss of racers in this year because it's just too challenging. You still can't get a 604 crate motor. What the hell? Not you, what the hell, but still can't get a 604 crate motor.
Moral of the story to me is 81 million fucking dipshits voted for a fucking sock puppet. So, and that's why we're in the situation we are now.
Yeah. Agreed. You're great. Okay. All right. Let me see what we got. Oh yeah, more stuff here, but really good,
But wasn't
question
really
point.
Million? I don't dare ask that.
Yeah, I know. Don't get kicked off.
I'll be on January 6th.
Man, do not like. I am so freaking careful, you guys. I'll be honest. Like I'll
be in a freaking DC gulag.
Man, there is nothing that has gotten me more excited than the potential takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk. I've never even liked Twitter ever, but man, that would be a game changer.
I just think it's funny.
I think it's great because honestly, since the January 6th, I have barely been on social media. I've been on social media less in the last, year and a half than I have been than I would be in a week.
I am going to say Elon Musk is my very favorite African-American.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So when it's African-American History Month, he's my favorite for sure. Okay. Oh, and then here we go. So back to the carburetor thing, talking about zinc versus aluminum. But anyway, great discussion point, Wesley. And anybody else who has some comments on that whole idea of the future of motorsports, feel free to chime in, regardless of whether you're watching us live or you're watching the replay of the podcast. Drop your comments in. I want to hear I literally do want to hear some different feedback from just my own echo chamber.
Even if you're a raging liberal.
Yeah.
I haven't had a good laugh all day, so please do that too.
All right. So Craig says they're going to make the aluminum mandatory next year because no more zinc material. Yeah. So now everybody has to update, and it makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense. If you currently own one, it makes no sense. That's whatever sanctioning body of a bunch of idiots.
All right. So this is like the most random thing I've seen all day. So James says, your ad really touched my heart. I'd love to buy the couch to help you reach your financial goal for tickling random people's belly buttons. Is that you?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't do anything like that either.
No.
So I'm not sure if that's us. No. But it's funny nonetheless.
It is.
So financial goal for tickling random people's belly buttons. Yeah. That is a financial goal. I'm going to have to add that to my list.
There you go.
And Craig says, it's okay, Steve. Just say, let's go, Brandon. Yep, we sure will. And John says, please remember, less asses in the stands will affect the tracks also.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm going to be, I try to be pretty authentic and real on the show. I mean, certainly, I don't try to be as extra always, but I really did try to reach out a couple years ago and offer my assistance and helping tracks with some new promotional ideas and things like that. And I don't have the time anymore, but I was trying to put a program together and I just couldn't get any follow up. I mean, there were 2 promoters that reached out to me and I call them back and we set up an appointment, and then there's always something else. So, but you really do bring up a great point about we need those fans in the stands. And as racers, you know what? Okay, maybe we're not the promoters, and whether your promoter is good or bad, it is on each one of us. If you're going to the race, that weekend, go ahead and post it on your social media, get other people to share it. And if we can grow our fan base and have more saturation in the community, having the place. And the one thing we can say about racing, well, there's 2 things we can say about racing. Number one is the only sport that did not shut down during the pandemic in most places. And number 2, it's the one sport where we don't even have to have the discussion about having different divisions for like boys versus girls or who's a boy or a girl. Like, we are completely immune to it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Right. So, I think that's such a selling point that, hey, come to the one sport that's, hey, we're more inclusive. I would have never said that about racing, never thought that about racing, but we're more inclusive than anybody else out there. Anybody can race.
And most of dirt racing is almost green now because everybody's on E85. So
that's right. And if we could do a little bit of treatment to the tires when we weren't throwing them away after, just a very few laps, then that would help us out a lot.
Certainly help.
Yeah,
everyone
for sure. And we even rebuild motors, so we're not just throwing those away. It's not disposable.
Total Neanderthals.
Dalton says he likes it. He says, I really like Mr. Hendren. Mr. Hendren, we could talk all day. So apparently it agrees. We are definitely very similar.
Mr. Hendren was my dad, by the way. I'm just Steve.
Just Steve. All right. Well, I think that's about all we have for questions. Did you have any other
I do not.
interesting things to say?
Is it like almost 8 o'clock?
It is. We're at 7:58. So
now I can go home and take a shower and watch Netflix, and I'm good to fall asleep until tomorrow when I got yet another crate engine to put together.
Oh, well, that's good, though. That's good.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, for my famous last words here, I want to say thank you to all for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And to catch us on the podcast, if you just would rather listen than watch, because really all we are is just two people sitting here talking and we're just talking heads. So there's really nothing to see here. We didn't even show what Pippi killed. So yeah, we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. But yeah, you can find that RacingInsidersPodcast.com. And we are on all of your favorite podcast players, like your Google and Spotify and Apple. So you can find us at any of the podcasts the day after the show. So we'll get this up on Tuesday mornings is when we post the show.
You say we, it's not going to be me. It's going to be you. Evil assistant. Tori.
I mean the collective we, as in Tori's amazing and she's going to handle that part of it. Okay. I'm just a talking head. Right. Now she knows more about the podcast than I do. So it's
It was so funny. It was so funny the other night when we had dinner with them and Buck was here and all that stuff. And evil assistant Tori had evil assistant to the evil assistant with her. Meaning her little daughter Addison.
Yes.
So I drew a picture of her with crayons. I thought it was hilarious.
Yes, it was adorable. Yes. Yeah, you were the evil assistant to the evil assistant. Yeah. So, but nobody's evil here. It's just fun. All right. Thank you guys. And, hey, we'll try out the 7 o'clock thing. Drop in a comment. Let us know what you think about the 7 o'clock versus 8 o'clock time frame. So we're happy to do that.
And then we'll just still do it at 7 o'clock anyway. But go ahead.
We'll do it when Steve wants to. That's really, I found that life is easier if we just do what Steve wants. There we go. And don't forget, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. See y'all next week.